Hello, good evening. And thank you so much, organizers, for bringing such an expert panel to discuss about this topic. So continuing, I think AI is a buzzword or not buzzword, right? So how many of you feel that innovation is a buzzword now? Yeah, still is buzzword or is it necessity to be there in the race, right? So I think that's what we will discuss. If some of you are not agreeing, so let me take help of all my panelists, whether how we gonna discuss this topic. So how many of you know what is Innovation Index of India? Any guess? The guess is free. So what is the Innovation Index of India? It is up to you, sir. Like, how do you want to take it?
I mean, you want to understand how much India innovates?
So I think Global Innovation Index being published since last 7-8 years by WIPO, where how do we have intellectual properties, how do we innovate across all sectors. So can one of you can guess how much could be the, while we say we are a third largest economy now, or we say that we are a populous country, so how much we are innovating ahead of other countries?
We are at least after 100. I read this blog. We are after 100, not before 100.
So I think just to continue with the context.
So I think just to add, it
yes,
is
sir.
just not about innovation based on the population. It could be how much of patents are being driven.
Yes, yes.
Correct. Yeah, the IPs.
So looking at the numbers, I think we were 85 in 2014. So now we are around 39, ahead of last 7-8 years. At the same time, China-like country was 45 when we were 85, and they are now 11. Countries like Singapore, Israel are under 10. Looking at South Korea and Sweden are always in the top 3, and US or UK do follow. While India has a lot of challenges, and still we are racing while we were above 100 before 2012. So I think last 5-6 years are very good for a country where we could see contribution of GCCs, corporates, entrepreneurs, startups is really picking it. And the way government of India, they themselves act as a startup of India. They are really innovating so well. But when I started my journey as a chief innovation officer at a DCB bank, I was like knowing what is this innovation and how do I derive my KRAs, right? How do I justify that? So far I was at IT or handling architecture. I knew like how to handle technical architecture, or as a CDO, what all deliveries I need to do, how much numbers I have to meet as a transactions for bank. But when the role was given me as a chief innovation officer, there was no other than me in the department. And it was like, how do I really say that my bank is innovative? Or should I get some innovation awards or do some kind of a industry first innovations? And how do I really do that? So I think while I have my own theory and experiences, would like to understand from all of us, all of our panels. I start from Ramani ma'am. So take your maybe 1 minute and say that why the topic is around, right? Balancing innovation with cost control. So what is your initial perception? So maybe you can, while introduction is happening, you can talk about your role in your respective organizations, and we'll take forward. We can start with you, ma'am. Yeah.
This is Ramkumari Iyer. So I work as a CISO CIO for Scale Consulting. So I do the kind of a service to multinational companies in that cadre. So what innovation means? Innovation is about creative thinking in a normal sense, right? But of course, when you are innovating, typically cost needs to be kept in the mind. That is what every organization wants to do it. So how do you do it then? It is to be aligned with the strategic objectives of the organization. That's very important. Second is innovation mind has to come from the culture perspective. So culture of collaboration and other things. So that makes breaking down all the kind of silos in the organization, and then people can do this kind of innovation in a multiple sense. So today we talk about AI, machine learning, data science. Everything is an innovative new things. is it, do you think, is there for quite a long time, which we are really leveraging in a different kind of a philosophy altogether, right? So that is the main thing. Another thing is about when you innovate, to be under the cost control, we should also have some of the metrics and KPIs. Performance measurement needs to be there. That's really makes us to keep under the cost control.
Yeah, myself Sandeep Bansal. I worked in diverse industry, as the question asked by our panelist, Mr. Aniruddha. Innovation, it depends, first of all, when we are planning for innovation, what is the reason behind what kind of innovation we are planning for? And with that innovation, what outcome we want to bring in. As we all know, any innovation or technology that should be aligned with the business objective. But on the contrary, we also need to understand to balancing the cost, because every organization has their own revenues and budgets. Based on those budgets, we have to understand what kind of innovation we are bringing and what is the running cost, how you are going to meet the ROI to meet the business objective. However, in current scenario, if I see, innovations are not price conscious, and it is very much requires a lot of budget. If you talk about your data, security needs a lot of budget to be allocated. Are we getting that? Maybe, maybe not. But when you have to innovate, you need to do some hit and trial. You have to lose money. You may succeed, you may lose, you may have failures facing it. But in my thought, I believe cost control and the innovation is little difficult. Rather than after innovating, we can think of cost control, because then we can see how cost-effective solutions which can meet our objective.
Hello. No, absolutely. My name is Aniruddha. I'm a partner in Grant Thornton focusing on cloud and AI, and our clientele includes Indian companies, startups, Indian enterprises, government sector. Absolutely agree with what Sandeep is saying. I think our opinion, my opinion, innovation need not be AI, ML. Absolutely, it could be AI, ML. It could be even an Excel sheet, right? So I think one approach is going back to the customer, think from a customer experience perspective, what can give the benefit to the customers, right? That could be through a simple Excel sheet. It could be absolutely AI, ML, etc. And I think with technologies like cloud, etc., automation, the cost of innovation also has come down, right? Absolutely, fail first approach, as Sandeep said. Also to think about what is the cost of not doing the innovation, right? What is the risk of not doing anything? I've seen many industries, people, traditional industries, people not doing anything and probably being, taken over by other competitors, etc. So these are some of the points. I would keep it short. And so,
So hi everyone, myself Bhabani Chatterjee. I'm the engagement lead at Capgemini. I'm majorly focusing on the digital accelerations and the business technology part. If I talk about the innovation, so definitely from current trend or the industry standard, definitely without innovation, nobody can go ahead or progress. But same time, when you're thinking about the cost part, definitely it is one way I've agreed with Aniruddha that if it's one aspect, like a two sides of the coin, one, if you're doing that, what will be the risks? Because we are investing so much of money in that to get the innovation, what is the ROI for me? At the same time, it's if we not do that innovation, or not thinking, okay, it will be a cost, so how are we going to survive in the market? Definitely, so other panelists already talked about that. Few of the industries already, be it say Nokia or any industries if we talk about, where we have seen that lack of innovation, how they have already completely removed or not there in the market anymore. So innovation is the heart of progress. So I can think that, yes, it is very much required, but it's a controlled manner we should think. Absolutely. Thank you.
Hey, good evening. This is Siva here. I'm part of the NetApp. I'm global IT leader, part of the Office of CIO. So what I think innovation, right? It's a very interesting topic. When it comes, how do you balance between innovation and costing, right? So I was just reading through the McKinsey report. I think I correlate that very well with us, right? So there is about when we start an innovation, we need to identify how much percentage of the cost you need to invest against these three things, right? So they very well put it in a nice way, saying that 70% of your innovation cost should go towards business transformation. That means it can directly, your top line margin can hit. That is where first step. Second is the rest 20% can be on your operational, where I can make more efficient, where I can be much faster. The last is where the 10% of innovations, they wanted to put it on your employee because they are your DNA for you, right? So that is where they defined it. I think it's, I would say predominantly it's very well suited with most of the organizations. That simplifies the things much easier. Where should I put the cost, I feel?
I think if I consolidate all the inputs from all of you all, while ma'am spoke about every organization has its own need, you also resonates with that. But at the same time, you spoke about business models. And while we spoke about technology, so how do we really adopt the technology on time? Imagine some of our CXOs do not adopt AI. Or say that AI is not at all for me, I will wait and watch how other banks or how other CIOs are doing. Then I'll follow, then I think that's a Nokia momentum, they will be part of that. So I think what I summarize from is all about people. How people are mindset, Sandeep ji, you spoke about how mindset is very, very important. Imagine banks where there since so many years together, but now fintechs are coming and helping, rather taking pie of the same transaction which banks are doing those transactions at the branches. So now with the mobile technology coming in after 2007-8 and with rise of a Jio, no bank will imagine that I should not have a mobile banking app. While some more banks like Union Bank and PNB are saying, can I not do some experience on immersive, like on metaverse? So I think, like while we are doing something or other as a traditional method, how do we connect those dots for an actual business-centric or a customer-centric momentum? That's innovation is all about. But and how we can take our organization to the next orbit, right? So at people or process automation with AI and cloud, or you talk about new technologies like blockchain and others, how we can do it. While doing this, I think looking at our crowd and some of our partners who are around cyber security and cloud, Ramani Madam would like to understand from you, while we are innovating and while I think many people said that 10, 12 years back, there was only single person who used to sit very far off from IT, so-called information security officer. Now he has become a focal point in all the board meetings. And first we ask him how much you want, then we ask for others, because that's how we have seen while businesses are up, something goes wrong, I think we have multiple cases, we have seen how brands go down and multiple. So how do you justify how much is needed for a cyber security innovation? So how, as a CIO perspective or a CISO perspective, how you justify the investment into cyber security is needed? How do we innovate more so that investment is having some kind of ROI? Yeah, because in cyber security you can invest as much as you can.
So security has become a very norm now. It's become a kind of a mandate. Without security, I cannot be stable. I cannot be resilient in the market, right? So that most of the organizations are understanding right now. So how do you do it? Because I don't get the budget. So when I go as a CISO and ask for the budget, they tell that, okay, with whatever it's given, maybe 2%, 3% of the overall, you do whatever you want. But there are major basic hygienic controls needs to be put across. So how do I arrive at that? So normally the first exercise, what I do as a kind of a security practitioner is I do a kind of a thorough risk assessment. That's very important. Not only the risk assessment, even the business impact assessment needs to be done, because whatever the technical, administrative, whatever controls, which are CISO perspective I try to put it, it has to match to the business. So both of the things needs to be done across. Then I really prioritize my high impact areas. That's important. So I first predominantly work on the kind of high impact areas, critical areas, and I try to put it across. Second is with the leveraging the existing resources, doing some kind of a cross-training, cross-skilling, and with the kind of talent-related stuff, then I have to really put it across and implement it. But it is must now, the regulations and the compliance is also putting a lot of pressure on us that we need to comply with many of the standards, many of the regulatory controls and other things. So there is a high pressure from the internal as well as from the external. From the external customer's perspective, the data is with us, so we should do it. Second is about the compliance perspective. I have to at least mandatorily meet some of the compliance requirements. And then is about, I don't get the budget. So it's a really a very complicated scenario that a kind of a CISO, as a CISO, we always face. And so that's what I told. With the risk assessment, prioritization is very important. Categorization is very important. That makes us life slightly simple so that I have the basic hygienic controls in place. And with the existing challenge, so I need to do a lot of cross-functional so that I don't ask for extra resources and other things. That's how I do the kind of a cost optimization in the current scenario.
Thank you very much. And looking at cybersecurity, which is becoming a norm, and as I said, CISO is at a center stage. Any application we develop or web applications, we always look at whether it is signed off by CISO. And while the product deployment, or I would say product development cost has very less and timelines are less, but the bandwidth which CISO takes is huge, because, and some of my conversations like they are always up and awake overall night, because whatever is happening, whatever rail guards we build, WAF or firewalls, they need to really see whether it is really up and running. But another perspective which I have seen in the industry from a regulator perspective, while there are some regulations, example, second factor authentication or DPSC guideline which came in last 4 years back and now again a revised version. While at an individual organization we keep innovating, at all organization, how we can innovate together so that many of those controls go down. And one of the example we have seen consent mechanism, which is coming up very high from TRI, and a couple of days back, Geo and 5 more organizations being selected for that consent mechanism. And with that consent mechanism, many more things which has happened on maybe cyber frauds will go down. So it's not only around doing justice at an organization level, but look at the complete national level boundary and how we can innovate at multiple areas. But coming back to my next question to Bhabani, looking at, and even Sandeep sir can support to that question, ROI, right? How do we derive the return of investment? While SBI, such a super app, right? It was not there 5-6 years back. Or let's look at UPI as an example. It was not there in 2015. While there's a huge investment at every bank, and it's been more than 9 years, like 2025 now, sometimes there may not be ROI as a cost, but what all those various parameters we look at as an ROI for innovating at a product level or at a unit level or at organization level or at national level? Maybe you can, and maybe Sandeep sir can support. Yeah.
Sure. So it's definitely a key question when we talk about and budget allocation, in terms of when we board of directors to talk about that, okay, how much you need for that doing the innovation, and we can get thinking of the progress. Now your question is that how we are calculating the ROI. Okay, so there are many KPIs, and that's dependent on what is the financial, operational, and the strategic goals of the company. Because any industry, definitely every industry have their own way of working. Definitely, if I'm coming from IT, ITS industries where we are majorly focusing on the clientele, doing a product innovation, service innovations, and we are meeting that client requirement. Now, having said that, what will be my innovation ROI? Definitely, what is the calculation mechanism, the formulas coming up that, okay. Same time, we are thinking of the risks factor, what's the risks is, and which categorize, and what is my return from that. Secondly, we are thinking of that, you start with a small, doing a POC or MVP, and what is my, another KPI we are thinking of, that what is my rate of innovation. I mean, in terms of that, how we can, how soon we can get a result from that POC or the prototyping that we are doing, or doing the innovation. And also same time, if I'm thinking of another KPI that while we're doing the ROI metrics and how we're calculating that that how business and the other team, other business function is supporting. So there is another factor that's definitely it is a key for me or across industries that's looking for. And always, in my perspective, it is very important that to understand that what is the end goals for me. Because every industry have their own way of, if you're talking about the UPI, banking systems, right? Now, definitely it was not as a requirement. But when it is one bank has come up with the UPI transaction, everyone have to introduce. The reason being, you have to get ahead in the market. And definitely now they want to regularize that, want to put some of the transactions fees also when you are using UPI. So that how the RBI is doing that. So same thing, I can summarize in one word that yes, you have to think is all the parameters, how you soon, what is your getting that, your innovation result. One thing, second thing is definitely how you're thinking that business or the other function is looking at that and how you're supporting to get this innovation completed. Thank you. Over.
Thank you, Mr. Bhabani. Actually, if we talk about the innovation, as you rightly mentioned about UPI and SBI, today innovation is about agility, how the technology or innovation is bringing agility to my business. Because any ROI or any cost which is related to revenue, and if that is really hitting my bottom line, I believe the ROI can also be justified. The question here comes in when we are bringing a new technology. The first foremost thing which I feel, whether what we are bringing in, right? What technology and how it is going to impact to the customer, to the business, and how it is going to meet my success matrix. Now, when success matrix comes, in success matrix, one of the part is the ROI, because the investment can be huge if the return of investment in terms of revenue, in terms of customer retention, in terms of agility doesn't come, it doesn't make a sense. With the help of UPI, which we were talking about, the UPI has been a great innovation for India. We have been using Visa and MasterCard as a plastic money. And a lot of transactions, what we are doing, a lot of money was going out of India. But with this innovation, what we have saved is the money going out has stayed into the country. Second, the payment has gone very fast. The revenues has become, the revenues has increased. The banks, they don't see people coming in. Everything is happening digitally. So I believe ROI is not only in terms of monetary value, it can be 30-40%, but it also depends the customer retention and their satisfaction. That also matters.
So I think just to justify, so how many of you use UPI? And from tomorrow, suppose if you're being asked, please do not use UPI. And say example, I'll pay you sir 100 rupees every day for next, so he's just, yeah, some of them will be ready maybe for 2 days. They will come back, take 200 rupees, please allow me to be. So that's the power of innovation. So sometimes cost may not be the only ROI, but how customer convenience has really changed. How customer, and if you look at last 5 years, post-COVID, customers have really changed. And the kind of technology which we have seen, while cloud was always there since so many years, but the rise of cloud after, during COVID, you must have seen so many movies, and people who were not fond of movies in cinema, they also glued with OTTs. So Aniruddha would like to understand from you, cloud is now necessity for every organization, while financial organizations typically are taking more time to adopt cloud on a financial application, but still service providers are making them ready. Some of the core bankings are now coming on cloud. But how a roadmap should be there for organization to adopt the cloud? Because it's like an open tap. And you never know how much you are using it, and all of a sudden some bill starts coming to you, then you do not have any other option also. You have to pay because there is no, because the way kind of agreements are there, locking with some of the cloud. So how do you see a cloud adoption, and what is the role of a cloud now for innovating multiple areas, so application building or deployment, managing security. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think, one thing is, it's not just about cloud, right? It's cloud, AI, data, analytics, automation, all these things coming in. And I think we have seen that, the companies who are using these set of multiple technologies, right? For them, it's a force multiplier, right? Because, an integrated, holistic approach, number one. Number two, cloud is not limited just to public cloud, right? I mean, we all use AWS, Salesforce, email services, etc. But I think Indian market, we have seen hybrid cloud being used to the max, right? Again, banks, UPI, SBI, even, to a great extent, build on top of IBM hybrid cloud, etc. So I think most of the organizations, while, they have adopted cloud to various extent. And I think in India, 80% of the companies are using cloud. Some of them are absolutely public cloud native, but then, there are banks, there are healthcare companies who are concerned about data regulation, who are, kind of doing a mix of, public cloud and then hybrid cloud. Another thing which is coming up now, distributed cloud, which is, how can you use cloud on your own, on-premise infrastructure. Sovereign cloud, I mean, lately we have seen the Indian AI mission, etc., right? Kick-started the whole plethora of companies, Geo, Yota, etc., who are doing sovereign cloud, etc., etc. So I think cloud is absolutely being adopted. And I think, when it comes to also AI, right, doing that on cloud is much, much easier compared to doing it on, your own infrastructure.
Yeah, absolutely. While we today talk about AI, some of the innovative people are talking about quantum. And we need to be ready with the quantum. And while AI is a collaborative ecosystem, we started utilizing AI through ChatGPT while AI was there. And ChatGPT is something is not built by Indians. Now we are looking at how we can build our own. But quantum is something to be built by nation. That's the innovative opportunity, how within that periphery, how we can do it. But I think Shiva would, yeah.
If I may add, I think, I think India is lagging in quantum, right? I think last couple of years, the way India has gone ahead with the India AI mission, somehow India is lagging. I've seen companies coming up with quantum, and the impact of quantum would be huge, right? Not just business, not just finances, but, material science, solving chemistry problems, solving bio problem, solving drug discovery problems. So quantum is going to be absolutely huge.
I think we are so fascinating as a human life. We always love technology. When internet came, back in 95, it was a quantum word. But as we move on, with the need of country, people, and the need of innovation, we always see where investment should go. I think government of India has done national quantum mission, but soon more investment has to go, because there are countries like China and other, they are rather way ahead. But looking at overall technology, which is one of the pillar apart from people, mind, or process adoption, while regulator talks its own, technology was always backbone, right? From communication from 1G to we are 5G. I don't know what is going to happen with technology. But some of those fundamental aspects we started learning with open source technologies, which has become enterprise-led applications. Largest example could be Red Hat or Linux Foundation, and many of those databases like MySQL, which has now become part of Oracle. So what is the role of open source technology, and how it's so very important while we innovate? So yeah, Shiva.
Thank you. That's a very key question, I feel, because innovation is always coupled with technology, right? Without technology, there's no innovation today, right? So I would say it is an evolution again, how the innovations. So especially when we wanted to innovate, right? There's always a question, with the closed door should I do, or should I go with open source also, right? So both has got pros and cons, because whenever we are doing with open source, the security part comes into close with that, right? So are these things are all very closely coupled, whether it is secured, my data is all those things, right? So that is one of the cautious things which we wanted to take it up. But other pro side of it, right? So open source gives me very fast, low code, no code platforms. I can build today and then tomorrow I will be able to deploy it faster, right? So it has got a bigger advantages, especially when somebody wants to start something, the open sources makes it much faster, right? Where I can able to write the code, deploy it faster. And on top of the open source now, because of the AI is coming into very creamy up to it, right? So it is giving me a faster to market. That's easier one, right? But when it comes to, and it's a very cost-effective solution. Cost is big advantage in open source, but when I go for the other closed ones, then it has involved a lot of cost, where to host it, how to keep it safe, secure, everything comes. Here it is very user-friendly, right? And the community for most of the open source is very aggressive in the places. I see a lot of people immediately bring their solutions if you have a problem, right? But in the closed, it is every time you have to go to the OEMs or enterprises to get outcomes. But here, I can just post what I wanted it. People are hundreds and thousands of people gives their own opinions, and I can take it up faster. That's where I feel somewhere these are good things to move forward faster, actually.
Yeah, so to coming from your inputs and open source and technology, Sandeep, you would like to understand from a modernization perspective, right? While back in 2014-15, we were so happy with Oracle or Enterprise Bus, Service Bus, or we were so happy with monolithic architecture. And the kind of a technology has moved in the last 7-8 years, and last 2 years predominantly. While I was so happy with monolithic, now we talk about microservices, then Dockers, Kubernetes, and while we were happy with the 3G, 4G, which has become 5G, while we were so happy with watching cinemas in cinema halls, now that load is coming onto OTT platforms. So I think need of a GPU, CPUs is really increased around the world. And now look at UPI example or Aadhaar, the India scale, and the kind of a response on a UPI transaction or any Aadhaar transaction we receive. A lot of innovation they must have also done. So I think primarily architecture plays a major role on so how do you see role of modernization of legacy? What are those challenges typically organizations looks at, and how we should really adopt new age modernize systems or anybody wants to add on the inputs to the Sandeep?
So very nicely asked question in today's scenario at least, because in the current scenario where we are living into AI and quantum we are talking about, the legacy system and application is a bottleneck at some level. And from enterprise point of view, we have always two scenarios. One, we want to save the cost, and second, we want to keep the pace with the technology. Now, both things are actually not possible. But being from an enterprise architecture background, I used to design the solutions. And one of the most important part of my KRA was cost optimization. And so the cost optimization with legacy application and the new application technology which is coming in, we have to design our architecture in multiple ways. One, it has to be scalable to meet the future need. When we are designing a solution, I always look towards what is my immediate requirement. So what is my long-term and short-term goals? Second thing is from legacy applications, how fast we can read out of it. Because legacy application is not only, or legacy system is not only threat for a new technology, it is also a challenge for the security. Now you have one legacy machine or something like in your ecosystem. It can play a ghost, and you never know, somebody intrude from that legacy system in your system. So now maintaining this cost optimization is that I used to say, investment and cost are having a very thin line between them. What we are investing and what we are believing it is a cost, first of all, we should know it. Sometimes we are not moving our legacy system thinking that it is working fine, why should we move? But understanding the pace, how the technology is growing, excuse me, what new applications are coming. If I want to keep a pace, I want to modernize my application, I want to deal with my competitors, I need to have an aging plan. I should move on my systems in a timely manner. Over a period of time, if I am going to escape out of it, then it will become a cost. It will look like a hard investment. If those are being phased out in a timely manner, I believe it will not feel like a pain. So this is where I feel. And with this current scenario, I believe legacy is a pain.
Yeah, I think while we are part of being a banker, I have seen how much legacy I was carrying when I was DCB in 2014, and the complete architecture revamp happened over a period of time. It takes some time. One of those scenarios, like my MD said and asked me, what is this ESB? I was like, shall I be able to do modernization here? But it's all about taking those challenges, and we need some champions in every organization who understand power of innovation and create that innovative culture across the organization, and move people from one orbit to another orbit so that they participate in the organization's whole growth. So while architecture is very important, people architecture is also very, very important. So I think
I would like to add one point here. While you are talking about bank and financial sector, I remember I've gone through with the story of Chairman Arundhati Bhattacharya. So she has modernized SBI, a 70-year-old legacy. But that was possible because it was driven from the top. So you can't do without, there is a mindset in the management. If it is not driven from the top, me, you, anybody can't do anything.
And if you see today, while innovation index is not only for countries, but every company is also now seeing how much they are innovating. So sitting in a bank, I used to send an innovation index of every department. So I think it may not have that actual framework, but people started understanding that there is some gap in me, and me in the sense department, let's start innovating. So typical scenario we see in every organization, everybody will resonate, IT versus business. Right, so business has its own, in one of those examples, one guy came in my cabin and said, how can we modernize our current systems? So people are going on Oracle, we are still on, can we not do it by tomorrow? So I think, so while business has its own, they have also now understood what is API, what is this. So any of you would like to give inputs, how this IT versus business has now started becoming IT plus business? Otherwise, it's end of those organizations if they are really competing. Yeah.
So IT versus business is about, it's very important. They are the two pillars. IT has to work for the business. Typically, it is not business for the IT, right? You need to understand the strategic objectives, the mission, vision of the organization, whatever you try to do it. There are many such kind of pillars in the IT world. So you talk about applications, servers, networks, everything. But of course, whatever we try to do it, we are trying to do for our business or for our end customer. So that has to be kept in mind. So, and second is, it should be a kind of a collaborative, communicative and integrative nature, not in a siloed manner. I think the silos has to go off, which will really take whatever we talk as a buzzword as innovation today, so which can become a kind of a significant success, in fact. This I have seen in one of my transformations. So people were in their own buckets and they don't follow the processes, and they were typically working on their own environment, but becoming a kind of a coach to them and making them understand what is this kind of a business objective and what is that for them. It really helped the people to understand and come out of their own areas and try to mingle with it. So typically, it's a kind of a complete mixture of what we are trying to do it. All of us are IT people, but we have to really understand about the kind of a business domain that we normally deal with. That is the main thing, because each and every business and the domain is entirely different. We need to understand their critical, mission critical objectives behind it. And then we will be very much successful, okay? I'm a process person, so I normally go with a couple of these things. Like when you do this, of course, you have to have a governance in place, very important. And I talked about collaboration, communication, integration of many things. Of course, bringing the technology, it's not only one thing. It's about making people to understand things. That is where the failure happens. If you don't have the people understand what the business needs are, and they work in their own world, and they can develop many things, But if the business doesn't understand that, then that doesn't make a choice. And you have to talk the business language. So if something I wanted to bring it, I have to talk in terms of a risk which is given to the business. That makes a lot of sense so that they can work in very much in collaboration and make this anything as tools. It is a kind of a triple P, right? Process, people, and tools, technology and partners together. Without this, none of you put so many practices, so many technologies, so many new things, but doesn't work. This all has to go in a kind of a coordinated way with a kind of a objective. Then, one important thing is sharing and measurement plays a major role. That's how it has to work in. So it has to be a collaborative nature. One key thing is break down the silos. And this is not only for the buzzword, this is typically to be followed in the operational world. Then we will be successful.
Thank you so much for a powerful talk, ma'am. I think one of those examples you said, break those silos. And once I went to one of the operations guy, and that time I may be a technologist, and I was sitting and to understand what do you do? Why do you send these files every day to Carvies and this? He was from mutual fund industry, and he was happily explained me. Then my boss was passing by, sir, I have identified process which I'm going to automate. He was looking at me. So imagine, it's like while I am automating, how much to automate? Are we having right opportunity for the same person who was doing same activity since last 10 plus years? So I think reskilling is very, very important while we are adopting technology or changing the mind. How do we take care of existing employees, people, without, I would say, without impacting their morale? So I think innovation is all about connecting people. How do you reskill them? They may not know AI, process automation, but how we can make them learn? Or the kind of a legacy technology they have learned, how they can come up to the curve and do the same job with a new process and new technology could be another way. But I think these days, every organization, maybe while they were doing 5-6%, now they are doing 30-40% around compliance and risk and regulation. So I think
one point I'd like to add, as already I agree with Ramkumari ma'am. So business, when we're talking about the why factor, always they talk about that how the business is working, what is the need. But the IT team is talking about that how, means that how they're collaborating, the functionality, scalability, that they're talking about. So when they're already two functions have to work together for the common strategic goal for the organizations to meet that. And definitely, it is not only this two department, definitely we have to work with the other functions, be it say product team, be it any means finance team. Without them, definitely you cannot get the innovation completed. So it should be a joint effort. And if I talk about the cost factor, the budget part, definitely it should be a jointly, they have to collaborate and invest.
So I think while we discuss in this whole discussion about people part or mindset, then process automation, you spoke about technology, tools, platforms, how regulations are now supporting at across, like DPIs are coming while we were innovating at organization level. And ultimately we do it with the partnerships we spoke. And we keep deriving or measuring performance in the eyes of employee or customers. That's how we consolidate and say this is our innovation benchmark. So last 20 seconds from each one of you, balancing innovation against cost control. So what is your last thought for our audiences? That's how we can then break for some of the questions.
Okay. So for me, innovation, as again, I'm emphasizing the same thing, innovation is the heart of the progress. So you and in a balanced cost control or it's the cost optimization initiative that, but innovation should be go ahead, means you have to do that.
I think innovation should be a DNA. It cannot be just an exercise. So I would request how this DNA can be built stronger and more.
No, absolutely. I mean, oftentimes innovation can start at a very small thing, and I think it has to be both top down as well as bottom up, and it has to be a part of a culture. It's not that I'm getting into a meeting and started suddenly thinking about innovation. It has to be baked in everything what we do.
Yes.
Yeah, very aptly said. Innovation should be a mindset. It should be a part of our culture, and we should be innovating time and again. Second, as you rightly said, how that innovation is impacting my bottom line is also important. And as Siva has added, there should be a budget allocated in your overall budget for the innovation side, so that you can have a very clear picture how much you can invest on innovation.
So as everybody told, innovation is very important. So it is about a critical, creative thinking, which brings in new things. It's a blend of technology process, again, with people. And without this doesn't happen. Then again, I bring in the concept of breaking down the silos. That's very important. And top-down approach, bottom-up approach, involving all the stakeholders, that's very important. Stakeholder management is the key for the innovation success. If you don't have that, somebody will raise some kind of a questions. If you're not taking the right controls and right feedback at the right time, then you fail at last. Failing at last lead to a lot of cost. Failing fast, I think I can break down and I can minimize the cost. This is the key word which I wanted to give it back.
I think absolute, and thank you so much for being so wonderful and knowledgeable expert. And if any of CXOs is listening, while this may be a recording, I think people will follow it as an innovation masterclass. How do you really do at a people level or a process level? How do you adopt cloud and any of the open source technologies? And all these experiences were so fabulous, and examples which is given by everybody is really giving me a lot of incentives to carry here on. So thank you so much for being at such a wonderful panel.